I am not responsible for regulating anybody else's emotions. However, that is exactly what I did growing up when I was younger. I learned to regulate people's emotions to feel safer. I was basically the rescuer. I was the firefighter. I was the person who put out everyone else's issues, and if other people weren't okay, I couldn't really be okay with that. And I learned a belief that it was my responsibility to make people feel better, to regulate their emotions. It's very interesting as I heal and as I observe society. What I learn is that a far majority of people never really learned to deal with their emotions in a healthy way, nonetheless. And so, what I'm looking at now is not doing that anymore. And in part, it's actually very overwhelming because it's everything that I learned, right? And so now, really sitting with the reality that Chris can be okay regardless of how other people feel. It's a very new space of awareness for me to be in. Very new space of awareness. And it's very, how do I say this? Different, to say the least. It really is. But in part, I look at it and I'm like, this is kind of overwhelming because what the fuck do I do now? Literally. Like, it's that, like, day and night, literally. It's like, in part, I almost don't know what to do with myself now. But the other thing that is very revealing about this is that now I bring all of my focus, awareness, and energy back to myself and into my body, and I actually deal with my own shit. Which is not easy. Sitting with uncomfortable emotions is not easy. Allowing them to surface and to feel them is not easy. To allow yourself to get angry after you were taught that anger is unacceptable is not easy. So I'm in a very different space of awareness now. But now, knowing that I am not responsible for regulating other people's emotions, it's kind of like, what do I do? Like, and also like allowing myself to step out of discomfort because that's been default for me. Allowing myself to step out of discomfort and just be relaxed, no tension in the shoulder. Drop the shoulders, right? Just Chris can be totally fine even if other people aren't. Yeah. It's cool. It really is. And also, like, allowing other people to be in their own shit, right? That's just the reality of things. It's a very different space of awareness that I'm in now. Very different space of awareness. I have never been here before. Ever. It's actually overwhelming because of how this is a funny space of awareness. It's actually overwhelming because of how non-overwhelming it is. It's like when all that you're used to is chaos and anxiety, right? And you don't have that, you kind of look for it, right? And if you can't find it, you create it because that's familiar, that's comfortable, right? So, like, if things get too still and too peaceful and too calm, sometimes I subconsciously seek it. The chaos, the drama, whatever it is that would cause anxiety. And it's strange. It's very strange. Trauma is a very strange thing. It's very strange that a person can be conditioned by chaos and, the hormones of stress, adrenaline and cortisol. They can be conditioned by that, right? You ask anyone, hey, you want to be stressed? I mean, there's a difference, of course, between, bad stress, which I don't think anybody wants, and, eustress, the stress that comes from growth, facing discomfort that's actually good to persevere through. But, you ask the average person, like, hey, do you want to be stressed? They'll look at you and be like, no. Right? But we're conditioned by it, and it becomes familiar to us. And so then with that, we continue to seek it out. It's just very exciting to realize that I'm not responsible for regulating anybody else's emotions. But I have spent somewhere between 75 to 85%, maybe even more, of my life doing exactly that. Yeah, I have wasted a lot of my time and energy. It's kind of hard to say wasted, though, because it's taught me a lot. It's, it really has. It's taught me to be the emotional container and everything. But then there's also, like, that boundary there. There's that fine line. You can hold space for somebody, but not regulate their emotions. And that's kind of like the challenging thing, because, like, whenever somebody comes to me with something, one of the most challenging things is I always go into rescuer mode. I always go into, I need to fix their situation. No. Just hold space and listen to them. That's one of the biggest challenges right now that I'm looking at. It's like, all right, well, I'm used to the role of fixing their shit. Let's try just listening. It's like, well, no, because then if that's all that's happening, Chris is not of use. It's hard to think that I am of use if I'm just holding space for somebody, especially when I'm not giving them advice. It's very hard to think that I'm of use for somebody. I'm very used to fixing people's situations, or trying to. That's funny. I just thought of something. If you take the word situation and you put an H after the S, you get situation. Most people's situations are really situations. I love it.